collecting the stories. I heard from one of my neighbors that another neighbor said, well, there goes Lyn Belisle picking up trash by the side of the road. So I get it. You know, I understand these things that we pick up and collect. And I think that as artists, we're always looking for stories and also clues. I have always been drawn as a collagist and an assemblage artist to human faces, and I'm not quite sure why. It's almost, not to get sentimental, but it's almost like looking for the daughter I never had, or somebody in my past that I've missed, or I'm looking at faces all the time to see what the resonance is. And so a lot of my collages, like this one, which is called The French Lesson, are based on faces that just sort of stop me in my tracks, faces that might say, you know, I know more than you do. And so I start with that, and both in my clay work and in my collage work. Also, I work with encaustic, and that adds another dimension to my collage work. All of the pieces here on the wall have coats of encaustic medium on them. And encaustic, I'm sure most of you know, it's had a huge revival in the last 20 years. Jasper Johns was responsible for starting the trend toward using wax as a medium, but it was used by ancient Romans, and some of their paintings still exist because of it. But encaustic is beeswax that usually has a bit of damar rosin added to it, and you melt it to about 180 degrees, and then you use that hot wax as a sealer over your collage elements. And when you work with encaustic, you have to be careful of a few things. First of all, the surface has to be permeable by the wax. So I can't take acrylic medium and paint it on here and then go back with wax, because ultimately it would just flake off because there's a polyvinyl base in acrylic medium. So the surface has to be receptive to the wax friendly. I've just started using mulberry paper, which is great. It loves the wax, and it uses more wax than most paper does, but it has a wonderful texture here. And then you can layer things. For example, I might start with this layer and put wax over it, and then add this image and put wax over it. And the wax produces a translucency that you can't get with anything else. As far as the content of collage, just looking around, the stories that all of this tells, it doesn't have to have a story, but if it doesn't have a story, like Chris was saying, I make one up about it. You know, if it doesn't tell anything, looking at Tim's crow over there, I know what he's up to. You know, I'm making a story up about him. Or looking at Billy's guy over there with a beard, I know, you know, that he's really important. He has a story. And so I think we all look for clues. I call them shards. When in my writing about my art. But with collage, this piece is the one that's featured in the catalog with the description, and you can read about it, especially about some of the things like the lines. I wanted to convey the fact that we're almost looking through a window at her. We can't see exactly what's going on with her, but we're looking through a grid at her. And it's not spying exactly, but it's definitely observing. We're not really close to her. And the idea of elements in collage, what some of you were saying about what to put with what, it's amazing. I happen to put a pomegranate there, but what if I had taken this face right here, and instead of the pomegranate, I had put this face there? Do you see how that changes the story? It brings in an element of competition, loss, what? Jealousy? What if I did this? What does that do? Right? It changes the whole composition. And with collage, even though we might think that what we put in is sort of dictated by the materials we have, we can tell our stories through these images. And because it is collage and it's not intended to be a representational painting of something, we can get away with things like that, with putting in images that don't go together but very strongly give a message together. So when Prudence said that I could be in this show, I just was thrilled. And I love collage. I love the work of my fellow artists. I love Prudence and Sarah and you guys, and I'm so glad you are here. Thank you very much. It's just a pleasure to be part of this wonderful exhibition.